Hello and welcome to JRock's Babylon. I am your host, Jason JRock Houston, and this is our Valentine's Day special. Of course, it is being recorded on February 14th, Valentine's Day to be exact. And, I was sitting around thinking about the fact today is Valentine's Day. That's what's really inspired me to do this show. And I think you're going to be really impressed and have a lot of fun with this. A lot of times, doing a show like this, you can learn a lot about history in a real fun way. And so let's get into it. And you guys will see what I'm talking about. Valentine's Day, of course, is February 14th, named after Saint Valentine. Who didn't know that, right? But okay, who exactly was Saint Valentine? But okay, it said, although historians believe that there were more than just one Christian martyr with that name. So I guess it depends on which Saint Valentine we're talking about. And I'm not going to get too much into that, but what we will get into is kind of the history of Valentine's Day and the traditions and how some of these traditions got started. I think you guys are going to have as much fun hearing about this stuff as I had learning about it. Now, okay, getting a little bit into who Saint Valentine was. Saint Valentine performed marriage for many European soldiers after Emperor Claudius II banned marriages from being able to take place because he believed that single men made for better soldiers. I guess the thought was if the soldiers were single, they didn't have families to worry about. They would stay more focused. That was at least the emperor's belief at the time. Okay, so here's what else I was able to find out. It said that the oldest known Valentine's message was written by Charles D. Orleans, a French poet who wrote to his wife in 1415 when he was imprisoned in the Tower of London. And so again, so that's how far back Valentine's goes back, as far as the tradition of sending love messages to. And the very first one known to do that was this guy. Look him up, and you'll be interested in what you find out. But this guy Charles D. Orleans, what a name! I mean, what a name! And so it said each year, millions of Valentine's Day cards are exchanged. I mean, how many of you, like me, remember being a kid and every Valentine's Day, it was a big deal going to school and you had to get, I remember bugging my mom and dad, hey, I have to go to the store and get some Valentine's Day cards so I can pass them out tomorrow. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Got to have Valentine's. Or sometimes the teachers would have you, like in our class, make kind of, homemade Valentine's Day cards to pass out to people because not everybody had money to go buy a box of Valentine's cards. But that is something as a kid I remember, and even it's a tradition I still see people doing in the schools today. So again, it's something that continues to happen, every year. Teachers typically get the most Valentine's Day cards, and then that's followed by wives and children. Again, it's very much like I said, something I remember doing as a child when I was in school. Every Valentine's Day is a big deal, and they dedicate, like usually after lunch, after you're coming back from recess and having lunch, the last part of the day would be kind of a fun time, and they dedicate that, the rest of the day till it's time to go home to pass out Valentine's cards to everybody. And I was the type of person that I like to make. I like to hand out Valentine's cards to all my classmates. Now this became a little difficult though because some people, even back when I was a kid, they had their little cliques, and so you had the cool kids and you had the people that thought some kids weren't so cool, and so a lot of times, kids would show up and they would just pass out Valentine's Day cards to the cool kids, the ones they thought were cool, or the ones they or their really closest friends. And that was a shame that that happened because a lot of people got their feelings hurt. And I don't know that that was the intent, but people who didn't get a Valentine's card, as you can imagine, they felt pretty left out. I think over the years, though, parents and teachers have helped teach kids, hey, if you're gonna pass out Valentine's cards, be sure you have one to pass out to everybody, because we don't want anybody getting their feelings hurt. So I hope that's something that is not taking place so much anymore. But it was happening a lot when I was a kid, and something I remember seeing. So I myself always made a point that if you're going to pass out Valentine cards, make sure to include everybody. Even I've worked for many years as a job coach with disabled adults, and one of the things I did for years, it was a thing because I'm also a chocolate lover. I mean, at one time I used to eat chocolate every day, but I've kind of backed off on that. And obviously it's not healthy to eat chocolate every day or excessively. So I don't eat chocolate every day, but it's still something I really love. And so for years, I had my own Valentine's tradition at work. I would get a bag of like Reese's or Hershey hearts or Snickers hearts. I pass them out to my coworkers and the students that we worked with at the school. So that was my own tradition that I started. And of course, I give myself one or two of the Reese's hearts that I would get. And so, it became a fun thing. And then I became known as the candy guy at work. Like, oh, hey, Jason, you got any more Valentine's candy? And so again, it became tradition for many years for me. I don't know why. Something I like to do. Make people. I don't know. Gives people something to smile about. And it seemed to work. I mean, it wasn't anything that really hurt anybody. So why? That's why I say why not? Also, so let's really get into this because Valentine's traditions include, of course, red roses. Now, what I found out is this is because red roses symbolize love and passion because, believe it or not, they are associated with Venus, who is the Roman goddess of love. Do you guys know that? Now, you've always probably heard about the book, men are from Venus and women from Mars. Well, I guess that's where Venus comes from. Of course, Venus is a planet, in the solar system, but in this case, the fact that Venus is a Roman love god. Okay, so that is why one of the oldest Valentine's Day traditions is to pass out red roses or to give the one you love a red rose. It's really it's a symbol that, hey, you're the one I love, and I think so much of you that I want you to know I love you. And I don't think anything says I love you more than a red rose to a woman. That's just been my personal experience. And I tell you, the flower business every Valentine's Day is really, really huge. I mean, that's something I started doing for my special lady love, Lulu. Every year I go and I get her a dozen roses, and it became another tradition, just something I would do, and not just because it was Valentine's Day, but I look forward to kind of letting my special lady know how much she means to me, and I thought I took the time to get her a rose to say, hey, I love you, and what do you think about that? And just I can not tell you how many times it brought a smile to her face, and so mission accomplished. And then she'd go around telling everybody, hey, he got me a dozen roses, he got me a dozen roses. That's not why I did it, but I did it mostly to make her feel good, to let her know I loved her, and to bring a smile to her face. So, okay, so, but how many other people get their loved one, a red rose or at least a dozen roses? I mean, that's what most people do. I mean, there's so many ways to say I love you on Valentine's Day, but a red rose is just one way. Maybe a box of candy, and I'm going to get into why candy and flowers are represent Valentine's Day. So let's have some fun with this, folks. Okay, giving chocolates at Valentine's became a tradition because in the 19th century, because of the Cadbury Candy Company. How many you remember Cadbury candy? Okay, they're most famous probably these days for their Cadbury Easter eggs. How many times at Easter do we see those TV ads for a Cadbury Easter egg where you bite into a chocolatey egg and it's got like an egg like a yolk, just something like you never tasted before. Now, Cadbury, like I said, in the 19th century, going all the way back to 1861, chocolates were given out by the Cadbury Chocolate Company. And here's the thing: it said the Cadbury Candy Company, who introduced heart-shaped candy boxes in 1861. So now we're only giving out. I say, hey, Valentine's Day, let's do something special. Let's have like heart-shaped boxes to put the chocolate and the candy in. Now, so I guess the heart-shaped boxes, interestingly enough, folks, came before the heart-shaped candy. But it all got started with Cadbury Candy Company. They may be one of the oldest candy companies. I don't know if they're quite as old as See's Candy, or maybe they're about the same age, because I've been hearing about Cadbury Candy and See's Candy for many, many years. But it's kind of interesting to learn that Cadbury introduced this handing out of chocolates on Valentine's Day by coming up with these heart-shaped boxes. It was a big thing for several years, and then other candy companies started to follow this. But of course, like I said, it started with Cadbury Candy Company, and it's amazing that now these days they're mostly known for their chocolate Easter eggs. That's just the thing they become known for. But they're still around, and I think because of the success of the heart-shaped Cadbury candy box at Valentine's Day all those years ago, and they're still doing it. I think that's where the idea for, okay, since these heart-shaped candy boxes are so popular, let's have heart-shaped candy, because the heart also represents Valentine's Day. The heart is a symbol of Valentine's Day because it represents love, okay? And so people get these heart-shaped candies on Valentine's Day now, and they think, oh, wow, this person's giving me this candy. It's shaped like a heart. It's representation that they love me. So again, that's a lot of what it is about. Valentine's Day is about showing your love and these symbols that represent love and passion. I mean, it's amazing that can get so much, into talking about this. What do you think, people? I mean, it really, really is. And here's the fun fact, folks. Okay, it says, let's see, Americans spend billions of dollars each year on gifts, dining, flowers, and jewelry. And as I was saying, okay, as I was saying that 25 million roses are grown each year specifically for Valentine's Day. I mean, they start growing the roses a whole year ahead because all these flower companies and these florists, they don't want to, and even the stores that carry the roses and sell them specifically for in time for Valentine's Day, they don't want to be left behind. They don't want to not have any roses to sell, and if they or they don't want to have a limited supply of roses. So many of these flower companies, they start growing their roses well 1 year in advance, so they're ready for the following Valentine's Day. I mean, I didn't know so much went into Valentine's Day, and I had fun looking up history on all this, and I thought it'd be fun to share it with you guys. Now, here's another real fun fact. It said that on Valentine's Day in Japan, women traditionally give chocolates to men, okay? And then 1 month later, on March 14th, which is called a White Day for some reason, when in return the men give gifts and chocolates to the women that gifted them uh, gifts and chocolate 1 month before on the actual Valentine's Day, February 14th. Well, the Japanese really have some neat kind of customs. I think Japan's the only one that I've ever heard that does something like this. So I think for no other reason, Japan's standing out for this reason alone in reference to what they do with Valentine's Day. But it's kind of interesting instead of just the Japanese having one Valentine's Day and specifically February 14th is for women to give their men candy and gifts. Wow, what a unique tradition. And in my whole 54 years of life, this is something I have never heard about. I'm just finding about this today and doing the research for today's episode. And man, it's a lot of fun, the stuff I have found out. Wow, again, I don't know how, being around this, in this world for 54 years, I've never heard of this thing in Japan, this Valentine's tradition, one for the men and one for the women. It's kind of different. I guess it's the Japanese custom, and it's a real fun thing. It must be. Can you imagine being a man on Valentine's Day in Japan, and the women are all giving their men gifts and candy? I mean, I guess it's a one day in Japan where men are made to feel like a king or something special. So wow, that's something really kind of fun that I learned. Okay, let's see. Yeah, now of course, as I was saying, folks, Hershey. Now again, I'm bringing up the Hershey candy company because let's be honest, folks. When we think of Valentine's Day, a big part of Valentine's Day is candy. And I can tell you for several years, at least as long as I've been alive, folks, and again, I'm 54 years old, born on July 4th, 1971, probably one of my all-time favorite candies in general is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And so once they started having the Reese's Peanut Butter Hearts every Valentine's Day, that became a tradition for me. Not only did I have to go and get some Reese's peanut butter cups hearts for myself, I get a bag usually to pass out to other people on Valentine's Day. Again, just another tradition, another way for me to put a smile on other people's face. I'm one of those people that I try to bring as much joy as I can to the world and make other people happy. I would rather go through life smiling and laughing and arguing and creating chaos. So again, being a chocolate lover myself, Valentine's Day has always been one of my all-time favorite holidays for that reason. Now here's the interesting thing. It says Hershey owns Reese's, one of the most popular candy companies of all time, which was started by H.B. Reese, a former dairy farmer of all things. And Mr. Reese, before starting his own Reese's candy company, he previously worked for the Hershey Candy Company. And of course, all these years after Mr. Reese has died, the Hershey Company owns the Reese's Candy Company now. And I kind of think it's interesting because, again, Mr. Reese got his start in the candy business at Hershey. And so Hershey is still around today, very much like the Reese's Candy Company. It's interesting where Mr. Reese got his start, that Hershey took over the Reese's Candy Company once he died. And so it's kind of ended up where Mr. Reese started from. And so I looked into, because thinking about being Valentine's Day and loving those Reese's Valentine Day hearts, I thought I would do a little research into the Reese's Candy Company to see if they had any ties like the Cadbury Candy Company to Valentine's Day. Of course, they do. Like I said, each year now, you have these special Reese's Valentine's Day hearts. Now, what's real fun is initially they just had chocolate hearts, but over probably the last 4 or 5 years, they started having, you could have your choice. Now they actually give you a choice. You could have a regular chocolate heart, or you could have a white chocolate heart, which I always like to have a choice. Okay. Of course, I love the traditional chocolate, but I also love the white chocolate. It's a little something different. It's a little bit of a different taste. But man, the stuff I found out about this Reese's Candy Company, you're not going to believe. So it said his actual name, again, H.B. Reese was the owner and founder of the Reese's Candy Company. But his actual name was Harry Burnett Reese, and he lived from 1879 to 1956. Reese started his um, he started his candy making um, in the basement of his home, forming the Reese's Candy Company in 1923. Um, Reese, of course, invented the Reese's peanut butter cup. How many of you love a Reese's peanut butter cup just as much as I do? And the thing about it is, I mean, they're the perfect size, okay? And I found out there's a reason for it. But you typically get and in your typical standard size Reese's peanut butter cup package, you typically get two peanut butter cups. Like I said, they're just not too big, they're not too little. They're just kind of what I say is the right size, and you get two of them. Wow, you can't beat that. And so again, if you're kind of watching your calories, it's a lot of calories. But you know what? It's not like you're eating a whole bag of M&Ms. I mean, you get two Reese's peanut butter cups, and to me, it's just enough. It's not too much. It's not too little. Just enough. It's the perfect size. But okay, so I delved into this a little more, and this is what I was able to find out. Okay, it said Reese became one of the most successful names in American candy making. I mean, all these years after his death, we're still talking about. We're still his Reese's Candy Company still exists. It's owned by Hershey these days, but they stayed pretty true to his recipe. And besides the Reese's peanut butter cup, which is what he was initially known for, that was the thing he initially invented. There are so many other like Reese's. You got Reese sticks. You got Reese's Pieces. You got so many different things than just the peanut butter cup. So stay true to the name. They've got other things, but again, I think when people bring up a Reese name, the main thing they think about, let's be honest, is a Reese's peanut butter cup. That's what they are known for. Now, I said, so I said, while Reese's is famous year round for Reese's peanut butter cups, seasonal shapes have become especially popular for holidays such as Valentine's Day, as we've mentioned, of course, Halloween, and Christmas. So getting into this just a little more, so we've talked about the Valentine's Day, since that's what we're talking about today, because today is February 14th, 2026, and it is Valentine's Day. So if you want to go out today at the stores, you can still get these Reese's peanut butter cup hearts that I've been talking about. That's available for every Valentine's Day, and they will be in the stores till the very last one is sold, and they sell out this year, and you got to wait till next year. Okay, so next, what will be coming up on the Reese's calendar will be Easter, and then during Easter you can get, of course, the famous now Reese's peanut butter cup egg, which probably is just as popular as the Cadbury egg every Easter. They're the two probably most popular candies at that time. Of course, you have Peeps and stuff like that, but I dare say, go on record saying that the Reese's peanut butter cup Easter eggs and the Cadbury Easter egg are probably the two most popular items, each season. And then, of course, the Halloween. Now we have every year at Halloween, you can get the Reese's peanut butter chocolate pumpkins. And then at Christmas, they have chocolate and white chocolate Christmas trees. Wow, wow. So the seasonal candy thing for Reese's and all these different candy companies has become a really, really popular thing. And so to go on a little more about the Reese's Candy Factory, it said in 1928, Reese's perfected the blend of creamy peanut butter and chocolate and the chocolate shell. Penny cups. The candy's popularity reached very high popularity during the Great Depression. And here's what else I was able to find out. Really, really some fun stuff here. It said they were called penny cups. Now you know what the Reese's peanut butter cup typically, the standard one looks like these days. So I want you to picture that before we had the standard peanut butter cup that you can go buy in the store today. He created what was called the penny cup, if you can imagine that. And as I found out, okay, it's because the original peanut butter cup was the size of a penny, and here's the reason why. And it has a lot to do with the timing and everything. But it says, the penny cup became very popular during World War II, and at that time, candy was sold. The candies were sold for just 1 penny and he had to kind of ration the amount of sugar that he used in these penny cups because there was a sugar rationing going on at the time during World War II. And so Mr. Reese was forced to create a profitable item, cementing its identity as his flagship creation. Again, we're talking about his flagship creation was, of course, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. But initially, they were known as penny cups because they were the size of a penny and because they were being sold for 1 cent a penny. Could you imagine a Reese's peanut butter cup the size of a penny? And they were only cost a penny. Man, how many of those I would have bought back in the day? I would have been loading up on that stuff. I'd been getting my sugar high back then. Again, it's interesting to find out that the Reese's peanut butter cup dates all the way back to the Great Depression. I mean, wow, the stuff I found out, today, just very interesting. So of course, we just focused like on mainly on the history of the Reese's peanut butter cup and its founder, Mr. Reese, and a little bit about who he was. Now, another big thing that's become quite the tradition during Valentine's Day is song dedications on the radio, where maybe you call up and you dedicate a song to your loved one. Hey, I'd like to dedicate Whitesnake's "Is This Love" to my sweetheart Donna or whatever, and that became a very big thing, and we're going to kind of get into why, and it became a real special thing, especially if somebody. Can you imagine listening to the radio and having your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or your husband or your wife, your special somebody in your life, taking the time to call up a radio station to dedicate a song of their choice to you and tell everybody on the radio how much they loved you. Could you imagine if you heard that, what that would mean to you, how special you would feel? Well, that's another thing that became quite a Valentine's Day tradition. It still is to this day. Now, some fun facts here that I was able to learn. It says song dedications on the radio became a Valentine's Day tradition with the rise of radio. Get this, in the 1930s and 40s. That's before any of us were alive, right, folks? Radio stations began hosting request hours where listeners could call in, request a love song, dedicate a song to the one they loved. live on the radio, as I said. And could you imagine if that special somebody was tuned in and they heard your dedication in tribute to them? Man, they'd be telling their families, their friends, and everybody the next day. Oh wow, my honey did a song dedication to me live on the radio, and I heard it. Oh, it was so cool. It became a tradition eventually where people would plan these things out. They tell people, "Hey, be listening. I'm going to try to get through and make a dedication." And you remember when they had audio cassettes? People would tape stuff like this, or on some radio stations they'll even take it to the max where not only does a person call and do a love dedication to the one they love, but the DJ on the air will say, "Hey, let's call your honey now, and let's let them know what they mean to you," and they have a conversation on the air. And so again, that's another thing that has become a Valentine's Day traditions. It's now these special Valentine's Day radio segments solidified the fact that dedicating a love song to the one you love is a romantic gesture. I mean, it just really solidified that. And it became doing this became, as far as dedicating romantic love songs, this became a popular thing that many entertainers would do. Crooners, especially, such as Frank Sinatra, um, Bing Crosby, Perry Como, Dean Martin. Anybody ever hear about old Dean Martin classic? It's Cold Outside. Well, that's a classic, an oldie but a goodie, just like the late great Dean Martin himself. And that's one song you constantly hear people dedicating to other people on Valentine's Day. Of course, Tony Bennett and Johnny Mathis, just to name a few. Now, here's some songs that I found are very popular and frequently played and dedicated to other people on Valentine's Day. Okay, you had Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers. You have Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley. My Girl, one of my all-time favorites, by the Temptations. Who doesn't love hearing My Girl talking about my girl? Okay, I won't bore you folks because I know I don't have a great singing voice, but I thought I'd give you a little something to laugh at there. Now, a real fun way to end this, I thought, okay, since I'm into, kind of hard rock and metal music, I thought, okay, I'm gonna end today's episode, our special Valentine's Day special here, being recorded on, of course, February 14th, 2026. On a Saturday, folks, perfect day to go out for Valentine's and take your honey if you haven't already done so. My top five hard rock love songs is this. Okay, at number five, Every Rose Has a Thorn by Poison. Many, especially women, many people in general, think of that as a love song, and especially when the women hear it, they get all they break out in tears and they just love it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Poison in concert, and every time they play that song, the lighters come out. But the interesting thing is, it's not really a love song. It's more of a if people really know what the song is about. It's more of a breakup song, but the women love it, and so it is what it is. It's become more of a folklore. But people hear the words to Every Rose Has its Thorn. They think it's a beautiful music, beautiful ballad. So oftentimes they'll hear a power ballad like that, and they'll think it's a love song. But Poison lead singer Bret Michaels actually wrote the song about his girlfriend at the time, catching her cheating on him with another guy. So that's just a little history on that song. I always loved the Tesla song, Love Song. Love Song was one of the band's biggest charting songs of all time, but just the title really gets people going. That's just one of my all-time, when I think of love, that's obviously the love song. And I think anybody watching this probably knows these songs that I'm talking about. At number three, Is This Love by Whitesnake. Of course, legendary Deep Purple, who most of us first came to know because he was back in 1973 on his 21st birthday. He got the gig as the lead singer of Deep Purple, replacing legendary Deep Purple frontman Ian Gillan. I'm a big Coverdale fan, and of course, Whitesnake came years later after Coverdale was no longer in Whitesnake, in Deep Purple, excuse me. But Is This Love? When you think of Whitesnake and love songs, that's the song. Um, at number one, I'm going to have to pick Forever by Kiss. Now, Forever is a song from Kiss's music catalog from the 1980s off of the Hot in the Shade album. It was a big hit for them on that album. It was a hit single. I think it was the band's biggest charting song since they had a hit in 1979 with I Was Made for Loving You. And before we wrap this up, I'm gonna give you guys another kind of honorable mention, another what I consider a love song, but I really very underrated song by one of my all-time favorite legendary bands, of course, talking about the song I Need Your Love from Boston. That was a song that the band released in the late 90s, but man, every time I hear that song, it makes me think about the one I love. So I got to give that as an honorable mention, man. I had fun doing this Valentine's Day special. I think it's going to become something we do every year because, I mean, there's so much more we could have talked about. And I think when we do it next year, we'll still be talking about Valentine's and the history of all these different Valentine's Day traditions, but we'll have so much more to talk about. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this as I enjoyed recording this show. It was a lot of fun doing the research and finding out all this stuff. And it's just been my pleasure to share it with you. So be sure you guys have a great Valentine's Day and see you again real soon. And thanks for all your continued support. And be sure you go to our Facebook page and our YouTube page and you subscribe because that's the only way you're going to be notified anytime we have anything new. So thanks for that. I am your host, Jason JRock Houston. Thanks for tuning in to JRock's Babylon, the place where we do our best to entertain you and rock your world. Take care. See y'all again real soon. Bye for now.